What is going on, everyone? Nostalgia925 coming at you with another explaining Digimon episode. I'm really excited to make this one because I'm actually replying to a request of one of our Patreon supporters. Beast Player Studios wrote a beautiful comment in the video where we discussed how powerful OMNIMON'S grey swords are. By the way, if you haven't already checked it, make sure to do it. I'll link it at the end of the video. Beast Player Studios wrote the following: Bro, my dude, my guy, my pal, I'm Beast from Patreon. You gotta do a Meramon DIGIVOLUTION line video, I need that in my life. I'll do even better than that. You are a Patreon supporter who contributed to this channel, so what I'll do is give you, instead of one line, two lines. One was actually linked with Meramon, but I'm sure many of you did not really know about that line. However, I have to say I will do that in another video, because otherwise I believe that this one is going to take too much of your precious time. Make sure to watch the video to the end, because I have a second surprise for you. Now, before going ahead with the video, let me first thank the other Patreon members, Beast, Hib & Bob, Marine Solar and Nathan Jones. Big thanks for your contribution, and know that I have seen your requests written in the comment section. I will go over them, so not to worry. As Patreon members, please make sure to check the video to the end, cause I also have a surprise for you guys. Other comments requesting for a Meramon video were Tom Curl, Anthony Ailman and John McManamy. A big thanks for your comments and never hesitate to ask a thing. Hey guys, look, the intro is already long enough, please make sure to subscribe to this channel, I really would appreciate some support. If you don't want to, that's not a problem, then let me at least tell you that I hope you'll enjoy this video. One thing that I noticed when doing research about Meramon is that there are many Digimon connecting to it. Even its ultimate and mega forms have their own lines basically. However, in this video we're going to make it clean so as to not confuse you, and especially the newcomers who would like to know more about Digimon. These other lines can always be discussed in other videos, so there's not much to worry. If you notice that I did not mention other Digimon, relax and just be patient. Now, if you want to know more about Meramon, I would suggest that it is best to go back, no, not to its rookie form, but to its in-training form, which is called Demi Meramon. We have to go back because it is from this Digimon that Meramon has two lines which we can actually call opposing lines. Now again, the other line will be discussed in another video. Obviously, Demi Meramon is a flame Digimon. Its entire body is ablaze due to how its Digicore is burning fiercely, which is a surprise for a body of its size. I don't doubt that this little Digimon can already be very dangerous because fire has always been very dangerous in the first place. And if it wants, it can attack opponents with small bullets of fire either from its mouth or from its hands. However, the fires are not that powerful if you believe that they cannot be extinguished by any means. Demi Meramon is extremely weak to water and ice snow type Digimon. This explains why it would flee at the moment it encounters one of them. I already explained that our little flame ball Digimon has two lines it can evolve to, and I think that its Digivolution will certainly depend on nothing more than its personality and how it will interact. And when I talk about personality, I'm actually referring to the attributes. Most Digimon species are classified into 5 attributes: data, vaccine, virus, free and variable. It can also be that a Digimon has an unidentified attribute or can lack them entirely. Also, very important to know, Digimon species can have a combination of these attributes, and I noticed that depending on which combination a Digimon has, its next form can look entirely different, not just in the looks, but also in personalities, I suppose. Now, Demi Meramon has 3 attributes: data, free and none. Data means that the Digimon is usually neutral and focused on their own issues. Pay attention, they did use the word usually, which means that the attribute is not a guarantee. The attribute free has always been very questionable to me, because again, it is very rare to encounter a Digimon with it. But I would say that free in this context probably means that the Digimon has a choice to act outside of its nature. It has a free will. The Digimon would not be bound to behave in the way they're programmed for. Let me give you an example. It is said that Demi Meramon has a wild temperament and has an aggressive personality. With the attribute called free, I believe that it leaves the Digimon with the option of choosing whether it wants to be aggressive or not. Another example, Kabuterimon, which we discussed in explaining Tentomon Digimon Digivolution line video. The Digimon has vaccine as its only attribute, and those with the vaccine attribute have a tendency to fight against evil and stop injustice. When you take that into account and check Kabuterimon's personality, it'll make more sense. Kabuterimon only possesses the instinct for survival and has no intelligence or anything similar. Considering that it does not have the attribute free, it is less likely that you'll see a Kabuterimon act outside of its nature, on the contrary to Demi Meramon. But pay attention, it is not because it does not have different attributes that its digivolution line will be linear. Digimon have numerous ways of digivolving outside of their lines. The amount of time a Digimon fights, the habitat, falling from grace, all those are factors which can make a Digimon digivolve differently than what it is used to. So, Demi Meramon has the attribute free, meaning a free will, data, meaning that it is neutral even though Demi Meramon is said to have an aggressive personality, and the other attribute is none. I don't know if none is classified as an attribute, but still it is written, so we'll try and keep that in mind. Maybe we'll get a clear answer at the end of the video. If not, please make sure to write down what you think would be the meaning of the attribute none. The first line we are going to discuss is the line taking us to Candlemon. If you watch closely, you can see Demi Meramon on its head. All Digimon from this line have the attribute data. They are all neutral Digimon, neither good nor evil. It is said that if the flame goes out, Candlemon would die. That is why there's this idea that the main body is actually the flame and not the wax, which would merely serve as a decoy. Out of the multiple attacks it has, there is one that I wish to discuss. One of its attacks is called Lava Lugi. It fires a small flame from its digicore that explodes if it hits. What is important to know, the digicore is the equivalent of a Digimon's soul. It exists as a type of nucleus housing a Digimon's primary data. Here is a fun fact, while most Digimon have but one digicore, some Digimon have dozens like the Digimon Sovereigns. However, I'm sure that in the Digimon digital world, exceptions exist. I'm sure that some Digimon can exist without a digicore, without a soul. Now the rookie leveled Candlemon's next form is a champion level Meramon, Horror's Request. And now that we're talking about it, I can finally link it back to Demi Meramon. You see, Meramon is a Digimon shrouded in crimson flames over its entire body. Kind of like Cinder in the Killer Instinct franchise, or the, well, flame guy from the Fantastic Four. I'm really sorry I forgot his name, not that it really matters anyway. He was always the least interesting of the lot to me. Dr. Doom, however, who is the villain, was simply way cooler in my eyes, and way out of the league if you ask me.
Return to your own world, knowing that this one belongs to you.
Meramon is a Digimon generated from the defensive firewall, which prevents illegal entries from the internet and the like. I would say that the firewall is just one way of entering the digital world, as humans have been able to get there by using various other methods. In fact, like I explained in the Explaining Dominion Digimon Digivolution line video, it can even be that a Digimon summons a human to the digital world. Now here's an interesting quote. It is said that Meramon is a Digimon generated from. You see, when I hear the term generated, you have to know that a Digimon can be generated in various locations. But you have to know one thing. You see the net ocean, that large body of water that surrounds the digital world. That is the true birthplace of Digimon. The location where everything began. And that area is, or I should maybe say was, ruled by a guardian goddess, ruling the whole of it and even able to handle all water, ocean currents and tidal waves as if they were its own limbs. And that goddess can, by the way, be found if you just find your way through the internet, or if you just wait for me to discuss it in another video. Now, back to Meramon. Now, just like Demi Meramon, this flaming Digimon possesses a violent temperament, a bit like the flames that envelop its body. Sure, as a Digimon with a data attribute, it is usually neutral, but its core personality did not change in comparison to Demi Meramon. However, it is said that its power is stronger than those of the same species on File Island. And I would say, one of the examples of a Digimon of the same species as Meramon would be Flarerizamon, a fiery Digimon with dragon powers. Now remember that I said that Demi Meramon has the attribute free? Well, it may be that Meramon does not have that attribute anymore, but it looks like its influence is still present. It is extremely difficult to tame Meramon and have it as your own Digimon partner, and even if it is tamed, there's no telling when it will bare its fangs. There is always a possibility that it will turn its back to its human partner, and worse, it might incinerate it. Now, before discussing Meramon's next forms, I'd like to mention that Meramon is a survivor of the X program, a program which killed 98% of the Digimon population. Meramon carried an X-antibody to become Meramon X. Usually the X versions are always more powerful than the versions without the X-antibody. In our case, Meramon X has a personality which is even more violent with an even badder temperament, and if it discovers approaching Digimon with a virus attribute, and a virus attribute usually gives a Digimon a strong desire for power, possibly even making them become greedy, selfish or wild, or even evil if you want, in the pursuit of it, Meramon X will strike them down and go on a fierce rampage despite being a neutral data species. There is a reason why it is unafraid of virus species. The X-antibody made it acquire the X-patch, which has collected in its right hand. Not only does it defend against attacks from virus species, but it can also unleash a special move called X-Eradicate, an attack making Meramon X burn anything without leaving a trace. That makes me want to make a video discussing how powerful this attack actually is. Now Meramon can digivolve into two ultimate level Digimon. One is called Blue Meramon. It still looks entirely like Meramon, but the difference is that it burns with hotter flames. What you have to know about blue flames is that they have more oxygen than your typical flame and get hotter because gases burn hotter than organic materials such as wood. And just for your information, let me show you something interesting. As you all know, there are different colors a flame can have. Deep red fire is about 600 to 800 degrees Celsius or between 1112 to 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. An orange-yellow flame is around 1100 degrees Celsius or 2012 degrees Fahrenheit, and a white flame is hotter, ranging from 1300 to 1500 degrees Celsius, or otherwise said 2400 to 2700 degrees Fahrenheit. Blue flames, like Blue Meramon, usually appear at a temperature between 2600 degrees Fahrenheit and 3000 degrees Fahrenheit. This would mean between 1427 to 1649 degrees Celsius. Now when looking at this, Blue Meramon has got to be one of the most devastating flaming type Digimon in the digital universe. If the champion Meramon is already a Digimon you don't want to come across, then encountering Blue Meramon will be worse than your biggest fears. I do have to say that in the games, Blue Meramon has not been consistent in type. For example, in Digimon Digital Card Battle, it was a blue card, meaning water or ice type. Heck, it was given ice attacks. In Digimon World 3, however, Blue Meramon can be fought in the Fire Dungeon. If it is an ice type that can use ice attacks, why would you find an ice type in a Fire Temple? And you know what's worse, in the same game, Digimon World 3, there is also a card game, and Blue Meramon is once more portrayed as a blue card. Let us be clear of one thing. Cold fire, also known as cool fire, does exist, even though it is quite uncommon to see. But the heat coming from such a flame will not be transferred to your skin and burn you. But important to know, it is also not going to turn you into ice. However, when a flame is blue, like we discussed, it is going to burn you to ashes, and that is what I believe was the initial message of Blue Meramon's creation. Meramon's second ultimate is called Skull Meramon, a humanoid Digimon wearing black pants and a torso wrapped in chains. It wears a skull-like mask on its face. I have to say that I do love the design. Obviously, as an ultimate, the heat of its flames are more intense than Meramon. Those licking flames have even taken a blue color. And you know what's interesting? Even if a fire Digimon can be weak to water or ice, in the face of Skull Meramon's flames, water and ice will simply evaporate. Really a powerful Digimon whose attack and defensive strength are improved. On top of that, it has various means of attacks. It can launch a destructive ball of metal. It can also fire blue fire mixed with liquid metal so that it clings to an opponent. I would say kind of like napalm. And napalm is also called firebomb because once it is fired, there is an outer shell that easily explodes and ignites upon impact with the target, and because it has a gel-like consistency, it sticks to the target, making sure that the victim would have a hard time to save him or herself from burning. Now you may not know that, but I do love law. International law did not really prohibit the use of this weapon. However, the use against civilian populations was banned by the United Nations Convention on Certain Conventional Weapons in 1980. I do want to say that I believe that Blue Meramon would be stronger than Skull Meramon, at least when it comes to the flame, even though it would appear that Skull Meramon has more options in battle. The fact that Blue Meramon's entire body is exposed to oxygen, I would say that the heat of the flame would only be higher. Skull Meramon fights differently. On top of that, maybe it is good to look at Skull Meramon's Digivolution. This might maybe better explain my point. One of its mega is called Boltmon, a Digimon that I mentioned in explaining ANDROMON Digivolution Line video. Make sure to check it out, I'll link it in the description box. Boltmon is a Digimon constructed at the same time as ANDROMON. I did notice that Boltmon in appearance does look a lot like Meramon. It is wearing pants, it is half naked, has big hands, he's wearing a mask, and there is metal everywhere on his body. And let us not forget that Meramon does use a lot of metal in its attacks, so these are maybe hints that both Digimon share a similar line. I have reason to believe that scientists were able to defeat and abduct a Meramon and modified it to become this creature. I did say that Boltmon is an android, but pay attention, Boltmon is organically based and possess emotions. Emotions which could actually be found when going back to Demi Meramon. The issue for the scientists, however, is that Boltmon was too difficult to control and run wild. And as you know, the entire Meramon line is known to be very difficult to control. I did say that Meramon can turn against its partner, and this is actually exactly what happened. The scientists who experimented with this unfortunate Digimon denied its own existence, and so Boltmon just wanders within the darkness of its sorrow. I like to believe that all these experimentations and these vices you see all over its bodies probably made Boltmon unable to use its flame abilities. And that is why I believe that a blue Meramon is probably more powerful than a Meramon. I think that it is more likely that scientists will find ways to defeat the Meramon rather than a blue Meramon. Again, a Digimon with very strong fires, burning 24/7. But yeah, this is just a theory. Make sure to write down below what you think happened to Boltmon and how you link it to Meramon. Now, if Meramon by luck can digivolve to its mega form, it will become Gankoomon, a Digimon that acceded to the Royal Knights because it's a Holy Knight Digimon. What's interesting is that it wears a jacket over its shoulders, just like the Bancho team. A group of Digimon fighting for their own definition of justice. Very badass Digimon that wouldn't really bother fighting the Royal Knights if they would deem they messed up. Gankoomon has a down-to-earth design and does not look like the knight-like and distant members of the Royal Knights team. No, Gankoomon is entirely different and also operates differently. It travels and acts. It is said to have taken residence in the southwest edges of the digital world. The issue is that Gankoomon never stays in one spot. It journeys across the digital world and puts a stop to unusual phenomena and signs of chaos. This is interesting because the Royal Knights, even though considered as the Digimon world's last case resort or last hope, usually they only fight for the bigger threats. Aside of that, they wouldn't really care. Gankoomon works differently. That is even why, a long time ago, it saved the Sistermon sisters as they were going to collapse from exhaustion from being out on the streets. And now, one of the Sistermon sisters, namely Sistermon Seal, roams around with Gankoomon, investigating unusual phenomena and reporting its findings back to Gankoomon. In its journey, the Holy Knight Digimon encountered the next generation Hackmon and made it its companion. Gankoomon saw in Hackmon the making of the 13th Royal Knight member. That is why it decided to temper the rookie Digimon with frequent, rigorous trials. I admit that I really like Gankoomon because it is a Royal Knight who is really down to earth. It shows its face, actually steps down and acts. That is why it is admired by many Digimon. There's obviously more to say about Gankoomon as this one has a great many relations with other Digimon, but I'd like to take my time and really focus on it in a video dedicated to not just Gankoomon but also the other members of the Royal Knights. That is why I have to say that it is best that you subscribe to not miss on that video. One thing I'd like to say before bringing the video to a close, Gankoomon did not really lose the hot personality it had as a Demi Meramon. It is stubborn and detests everyone who talks back to it. That is why it is named Gankoomon, because Ganku is the romanization of a stubborn person. Now, as I said, Demi Meramon has two lines. In the follow-up video, we're going to discuss its other line. Let me just give you a glimpse of a Digimon who is linked to Meramon, which we will discuss in that future video. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I lived up to your expectations. We are obviously not done with Meramon, we will get back to it. But for now, the point was to explain the line, to give you some perspective. Oh yeah, I almost forgot, to my Patreon members, the first Patreon exclusive video will be about Ken's sad background story and how he became the Digimon Emperor. I'll let you know in the NostalgiaNat5 community page. For those new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it, especially given the time I put into those videos. They easily take an entire day, but anyway, it's not like I don't like doing research. Heck, that has been my entire life for now. Now make sure to drop a comment and a like, and never forget that all my Digimon videos are placed in specific playlists which are always updated, that way you can catch up on the newest and the oldest videos.